This is Let's Talk Teens, a parenting podcast sharing tips on raising amazing teenagers. We are both certified life coaches that have worked with teenagers as coaches, mentors, and teachers. We are sharing what we have found to work best when dealing with teens and tough issues.
This is Let's Talk Teens, Abbi and Cheree, episode 44, when your teen is going through friend group troubles.
Oh, the friend group, right? So vitally important. Something you're probably so aware of, parents, right? Of this group of friends. And maybe they've been friends since elementary school and now they're all the way grown up, or maybe it's a new friend group. But the number one question that I get from teenagers that reach out to me on social media is help with a friend group. Something has gone wrong. And I actually think that oh man, like 95% of us, we've probably experienced friend group problems. And it just is that it's kind of hard to manage a big group of people. It's hard to manage all the different personalities. And a lot of things can happen in teen friend groups that are really hard. And so I wanted to talk about, okay, what can I do as a parent when I notice that my child is going through troubles with their friend group? Whether it's hey, two of them want to pair up and be best friends and leave my child out, or, there's kind of a split, all those kind of things, and how you navigate that because it gets so tricky.
It is so hard as a parent to watch it too, don't you think? Because our own emotions get involved in it. And it's like, oh, we do not want to watch our child go through this. And we feel protective of them. So I think it's always good to have ideas of how to help our kids through it.
Yes. Well, and Sheree, you were leaning into it perfectly of like the first thing is talk about it if they want to talk about it. And what I think is trickier with friend group problems than versus like one-on-one me and my best friend are having trouble is sometimes it's a little ambiguous. Sometimes your child doesn't even know exactly how to articulate what's happening in the friend group. Um, but we can tell something's off, right? And so they're not always forthcoming with that information. I have also found too that not everybody's an innocent player in the friend group. Um, and because guess what? As teens and young adults and even adults, we are figuring out friendships, right? And we will make friendship mistakes. And so talk if your teen is willing to talk about it, if you've got that relationship, maybe put your arm around them when you're calm, have a minute alone and say, "Hey, I've kind of noticed that you've had some hesitations about hanging out with your friends, or I've noticed Michaela hasn't come over anytime the rest of the girls are over. Like, what's up? Talk to me about your friend group, right?" And hopefully we can then get some information, but we've opened that up that your child can feel like they can come and talk to you about their friend group.
I think that is so important to help our teens feel like we're a safe place. And I think one of the thoughts that came through my mind is, really being intentional as a parent to be that safe place that's going to be the listening ear and maybe not quite so quick at like giving advice, but first just to listen.
Mm.
Just to listen and like I mean we want to fix it, right? I mean, we're moms or dads who are used to putting band-aids on our kids' owies. Like we want to fix it. And I think just being that spot where like, hey, do you want to talk about it? And that talk might actually be more listen, like for us as parents.
And that goes right in, my second piece of advice is stay neutral. All parents stay neutral. You've heard me talk about this when your child goes through a breakup. It's so tempting. And believe me, I am mama bear. The other day, my son Freddie, he came off of the playground and he was crying and he's like, "This kid hit me." And I was up. I was like, "Where? Who is he? Where is he?" Like, we're grabbing his mom. Like, that is so natural in us. And so it's going to be tempting for you to say, "Oh, I never liked Michaela," or, "Oh, I just always knew that Jessica was the instigator of this," right? And to layer on, those complaints with your teen because it feels so like I'm being protective. It feels like I'm on my teen's side. It feels like I am supporting them, right? But really what you're doing is creating barriers to future friendships of if they want to reconcile with the friend group. If they It's so much easier for them to forgive their friend than it is for you as a parent. But your teen will always know in the back of their head, "Oh, I know my mom doesn't like Jessica." Or I can't bring Jessica over, right? Or it's going to get awkward. And so please, please, please do your very best to stay neutral. Um, and then as you were saying this, Sheree, I was like, yes, you were saying, hey, be really careful in offering that advice. And I couldn't agree more. And so this next step might be one that happens over time, maybe not even in your first initial chat, but to gently point out to your teenager maybe some friendship missteps that they've made. So here's some examples from some real life, like group trauma, like drama I've heard before. So a teenager girl's coming to me and she's like, well, my group, they're really upset. This group doesn't like this girl, but I still want to hang out with this girl. And then we sent some texts and then this, right? And as a parent, sometimes your eyebrows are getting a little raised because you're like, I can't believe you would do that, right? Or I can't believe you would text that. And so when we are calm and stuff, find if there's maybe a time to point out and say, hey, if I was on the flip end and I knew that all my friends had done a group chat without me, I'd be really devastated, right? And helping your youth go, oh, that wasn't a good move on my part, right? And it doesn't need to be a chew out fest. It doesn't need to be a, you just need to be a better friend talk. But I do think that it's really important when there's time to gently, kind of lovingly say, hey, I don't think that was the best move, right? Or maybe even suggest something more positive of like, okay, I know your group really wants to exclude this girl, but I hope you'd find it in your heart to include her, right? Or to, can she come over at a different time with you? And so we're gently offering some corrections to some friendship missteps if you've noticed that your teen is part of the reason that the group is having troubles.
I love that. I think we have to remember they're learning to adult, they're learning to have relationships, and there are going to be some missteps. One of my favorite ways also to help them like figure out what they want to do in a better way is to ask them empowering questions of like, what do you want to do with this? How would you feel if you were this girl? Like, what would you want someone to do for you? Or how
Mm.
would you handle it? Like asking them like, okay, how, so like just if you weren't worried at all about how your friends were going to respond, how would you want to handle this? Or like, just like in your very gut, like, what do you want to do with this friend? What do you, and like have them kind of draw in their inner wisdom, draw from their inner wisdom and like what really feels true to them of how they want to respond and get out of that like overthinking brain fear and fear of what the other friends think is like, gosh, really, how do I want to respond? And how would I want to be treated if I was that girl that's giving?
Well, to your point, maybe even asking a question like, hey, in 10 years, when you run into this girl at the grocery store, what do you want her to think about you? Like,
Yeah.
were you the mean girl or were you the one that put their arm around them, right? And I get we're not gonna like we're not gonna have the same friends that we did in elementary school that we grow up with, right? We friendships evolve, they change. Sometimes we just say, you know what, we just weren't grooving anymore, but we want to help our teen recognize, okay, how can I grow up and change with these evolving friendships and other people's choices and actions and still be proud of what I'm doing and still want to stand behind that. And I feel like that comes from learning, oh, I need to go apologize. Or, oh, I need to go let this girl know that, hey, I can't be her gossip buddy anymore. Right. And those are hard things to do. But I feel like with the
So hard.
parents, with some parental guiding, we can help with that. And then lastly, and this is what my response was to every teen that DM'd me and was like, Abby, help. I've messed up this friendship because of this and this and this. Like, how do I get him back? And I'd always say, guess what? Sometimes the cost of your friendship is the cost of the lesson. Like, sometimes the mistake that we've made really will cost us this friendship, and that's okay. Like, it sucks. Like, there's no getting around that this sucks. But sometimes that is the cost, is that we will lose this friendship or it will never be the same. And I was thinking back, this wasn't my teenagers, but it was clear back to third grade. I had this best friend in the whole world. It was just me and her. And Cheree, I don't know if you're like this. You're a little bit more social than I am. I just need one friend. Like, I just want one friend and I'm good. Like, and I love other people, but I'm like, if I have my buddy, like, we're good. Well, so this girl was my buddy, and I remember in third grade, I was out at recess and I couldn't find her anywhere, and we were like inseparable. So we spent the whole recess looking for her, finally to find her at the last minute, and she was hanging out with these other girls. And when I was like, "Hey, oh my gosh, I've been looking for you. Like, what's up?" She was like, "Oh, hey, I really want to hang out with these girls, and I don't want to hang out with you anymore." And oh, Cherie, my third grade heart, like
Mm.
literally shattered. It was like my first like heartbreak. I just couldn't fathom that. And my mom, I've said in other episodes, was a school teacher. So thankfully, that was like last recess. Finished out the last like 30 minutes of class. I go to my mom's classroom like I do after school every day. And I said, Mom, I'm going to the car. And she could look at me and she's like, What's happened? And I said, Mom, I'm going to the car, right? And I remember laying down on the back seat of my mom's Yukon and just sobbing my eyes out. And later, when she came with my siblings, right, I told her the whole story. And, all she could say is, like, Abby, I'm so sorry. Like, that really was just one of those, this girl doesn't want to be my friend anymore. And I was blindsided. I was gutted. Well, guess what? The next morning, I'm with my mom a little bit early before school in her classroom, and this girl shows up and she's like, Hey, Abby, I'm really sorry for what I said yesterday. I talked to my mom, and she says that that was not how I should have handled that. And I'm really sorry, and I'd like to be friends, right? And I remember thinking, okay, like I was like, okay, yeah, like, and part of me felt a little better, but we were never friends again after that. Like, even though we might have hung out a couple recesses, like the damage had been done. Do you know what I mean? And so that's a hard lesson for teens to learn. And, maybe we learned it in elementary school, young adulthood, but sometimes we make a friendship misstep and there really is no saving that friendship. And that's the lesson that we have to learn. And it sucks. And I think that's really powerful for teens to know is sometimes I can't go be best friends with this person again because of what I've said or what they've done or what's happened. And that's okay. Like, man, it really sucks. I wish it could be different, but because of those actions, like, we're not going to be best friends again.
For sure. Call that some friendships expire.
Yes.
And it's just a thing. It's like, it could have been a really, really good friendship and it expired. Just like milk can be really, really good, but once it reaches the expiration date, it's nasty and we want to pour it down the drain and there's no way we're going to drink it. And the same thing can happen with friendships. They can be really good and then something can happen and they're not good anymore and they expire. And instead of being like that person was bad or I was bad or they did this wrong or I did this wrong, it's just like that friendship expired and I'm going to move on. And there were some really great times with that friendship, but now it's expired and it's okay. And that happens with friend groups sometimes. It's like, for someone changes or things change and those friendships, they just expired. They have an expiration date.
Well, and to that point, one last story here as we wrap up. I remember being in junior high, ninth grade, and I found this friend that we just, oh my goodness, we clicked. We like spent the whole summer together, right? Ready to go sophomore year. And it was so fun to have what I felt like a really good friend going into sophomore year, right? Scary, Davis High, here we go. And we were really good friends up until, and this is so weird, Cheree, that this was the expiration date. But as soon as she turned 16, and I remember we had birthdays pretty close, I turned 16 and boys entered the picture of like we could date and stuff, our friendship expired. And it wasn't necessarily like either one of us did something wrong, but I just remember her a couple times like, um, saying things to me about like she knew this boy that I liked, right? As you know, your friends' crushes. And she would purposely say things in front of him to be like, oh, don't you know Abby likes you? Just kind of those things. And I just remember going, oh, this friendship's not as fun as it used to be, right? Like it's definitely a dynamic has changed, and that's been boys and the whole dating scene. And nothing really even happened between us. We just faded out. And by the time junior, senior year came around, like we hardly ever even spoke to each other. And it wasn't ill feelings. It was just, guess what? This friendship kind of ran its course, and that's okay. Like I wish you the best, and I wish me the best, and it's okay. Like that really changed.
They do, and it just happens, and there's always some good things that happened, and then I mean, like good things to remember, and good experiences, and good learning and growth, and most of the time, right? And then
Mhm.
they expire, and it's just there's new friendships that come in, and nothing has gone wrong. And I think we have to remember that as our teens are dating, and as our teens are have these friend groups, it's like nothing has gone wrong. These are all part of their learning and their growth, and it's all good.
Yes. Well, so parents, hopefully you can take some of these right. And it might even be the fact that you just got to kind of sit there and watch your teen learn that lesson of sometimes, this friendship can't be saved. And hopefully you can help with these tips and be there to love and support them as they navigate friendship group changes because it's going to happen. It happens to all of us. And so, wishing you the best of luck, and we can't wait to see you in our next episode. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Teens with Cheree Murdock and Abbi Winslow. If you are looking for more tips to help your teenager, here's where you can find us. You can find Cheree Murdock on Instagram at Cheree Murdock Coaching or on her website, ChereeMurdock.com. You can find me, Abbi, on Instagram as Abbi Winslow or on my website, AbbiWinslow.com. Please rate and review our podcast and share with a fellow parent. Thanks for listening.